All right. We are at the end of February already. February 29th. Happy leap year to all of those that know what that is. That extra day. My birthday was real close to that. My mom said she kept her legs crossed all day because she didn't want me born on leap year. So I hung in there for a few more days until March 3rd. So I got my big 60 coming up here this weekend.
Well, congrats.
So I'm not sure how it happened, but it happened fast. So anyway, got some stuff to cover here today. As always, we'll get all of your questions answered. I came across something very, very cool as I was cleaning up, getting ready for our little party here at the house. And I don't know if let me turn off my fuzzy background so you guys can see this a little clearer. All right. So this is a this is a yellow pad, and this is basically how I make all my presentations. Like, you guys might think I'm really fancy and high tech. No, I have a yellow pad and a pen, and I just go to town, put everything down on that yellow pad, and then I'll have all my thoughts out on it visually so I can see everything. And this particular one has like 5 pages of notes. And this was the basis for the presentation I gave at Glacier Kennedy in 2011. So this thing's been around for a little while. Oh, didn't mean to turn my camera off there. So this thing's been around for a little while. But I was looking at it and I'm like, holy shit, this thing would work just as good today as it worked then. And that was my best presentation I've ever done. The Glacier Kennedy presentation. It was like $172,000 in sales from a 1 hour presentation on stage. So pretty cool. That was a pretty good day. And a lot of that was recurring income too. So that was a really good presentation. Now, this presentation was based on Frank Kern's magic model. And it was interesting. Frank says he gives away 90% of everything for free on the front end, and then you pay a bunch of money to get the last 10% on the back end. Well, this actual presentation here, all these notes on this yellow pad, I actually made during his free presentation of how to do this. And he literally walked through the whole process. So everything about my presentation that I put together was based off of his free presentation of what he sold. I didn't even need the last 10%. I wound up paying for it and finding out that I already had everything I needed from the free version, but that is okay. I mean, it came back, in spades. So I was not upset about it. Happy to put the coins in Frank's tip jar. No worries there. But I was looking at this, and this might be worth at one point, if you guys are interested in it, going through it, and just so you guys can learn what his magic model was, the framework of putting a presentation together. I know a lot of people are trying to get presentations together either for their own business or to sell acquisitionnaire, or whatever you're doing. You need a presentation. You need a way to present what you have, what it does, what it's going to do for them, and the value of it. If you don't have a presentation, if you don't have a sales process, you are going to be in a lot of trouble when you try and automate your business online. You might be able to do it on the fly, just, off the cuff in person. If you're, a decent salesperson, you should probably be able to do that. Some salespeople are just really natural at this. They need no script. They just show up and they can sell anything. You hand them a product, give them a little bit of detail, and they turn around and sell it like better than you probably would. So, but when you that's great in real life, but you can't automate real life. Like if you're going to do that presentation face to face, it's going to be you against the world every time, every presentation, every day, as many times as you want to do that. So scaling that type of a business, yeah, you can, you've got so many minutes in every day, you can scale up to a certain point, but as you scale up, the more presentations that you give, the less time you have. You might be making money, but you're giving up the most important, precious thing that you have, which is time. We can always make more money, can't make more time. And coming up on a 60th birthday, I'm seeing I'm running out of that precious commodity. So it's even more important. You know, for me, time was like the most important thing all the way through my entire life. I wanted to do what I wanted to do and didn't, that's why I never worked for anybody. I could never see that. I always wanted to do things my way on my time, whatever I wanted, that was it. And I always found a way to do that. So for those of you that are just getting to know me, you'll one of the things about me, I have never had a job ever. Not one day ever in my entire life. I've worked for clients. I have a lot of clients, that I work for. I do work, but I don't have like a job. I have no one to answer to except my clients, and I like to do that. When I find I don't like to answer to clients, I usually get rid of those clients. So that's uh, that's just been the way I've been since day one. So time is everything. So when it comes to these presentations, the only way to really scale up your business without chewing up your time is you spend a little bit of your time engineering an automation that is online. I guarantee you, whatever you're doing that works in the real world can be automated online. And if you're doing stuff online that didn't work in the real world, you're probably chasing your tail because things work online the same way they work in the real world. It's not like and I see this all the time. People put up a website and they think they're going to get rich. The website does absolutely nothing that they did in real life that made them successful. I mean, nothing. The website is not even correlated to what made them their money in real life. And they expect all of a sudden, oh, well, I have this website. I don't have to do anything now. That is just complete and utter bullshit. And if you're thinking that, you got another thing coming. Business is, for businesses, and I'm going to say this, it's a thinking man's game or thinking woman. You just replace that if you're male or female. But it is a thinking game. And if you're not thinking, you're probably not winning. That's really all there is to it. If you want to go through life and just follow the rules and be told what to do and all that, that's a job. And somebody up above you is in charge of thinking. If you want to let them think for you and you're okay with that, I can't even imagine that. But there's a lot of people that do that. A lot of people go through life that, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, Perry, he always uses this classic phrase. He said, "My daddy told me that the world needs ditch diggers." But, I don't think any of you want to dig ditches or you wouldn't be here. So what I'm saying is absolutely true. You need to automate. If you want to be the thinking person in business and you want to have the freedom, you better be able to automate it. And that's what's on this yellow pad. This pad is a presentation that I actually gave in real life. Now, why in the Sam hell did I not automate that? I really don't have any good excuses, but I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't. And it's been sitting here in my desk for, well, since 2011. I think it was 2011 I gave that presentation. So what's that, 13 years? Normally I throw stuff away. This did not get thrown away. There's probably a reason for that. I meant to automate that process. And I was thinking about it, like everybody wants a they call them a deck. If you guys haven't heard that, a deck is is refers to a slide deck, which is a presentation in the online space. That's a PowerPoint. PowerPoint presentation is referred to as a deck. So I'm thinking about like taking the next couple of days and re-looking at this yellow pad of paper and seeing if I can turn it into a slide deck for Acquisition Air. And what I'll do once I get that done, I'll do a presentation on here for you guys to show you how I did it, if that would be beneficial. Because anything that, like what I'm going to do here, could be done for any business. It's a framework, it's a formula. Frank's magic model was an absolute formula. I watched him do it in his business. I took the formula, I turned around, made some tweaks to it, and did it in my own business. And it worked. You know, I talk about these formulas. That's what the ACT program is. It is a bunch of formulas all seamed together so you can pick and choose which ones you need. You know, we talked last week, we were talking about objections. And there's a formula to eliminate any objection. And I'm sure there's a lot of variations to it. Like Jay will take the formula I'm going to give you and he'll spin it 10 times in NLP and show you 10 different ways to do it. But it's all comes down to it's a formula. And whichever formula works for you is fine. It's great as long as you get the results. If you don't have a formula, you're winging it. And that's like trying to bake a cake without a recipe. If you're a master baker, maybe you could pull it off. But if you go try and do it again 3 months from now, you're probably, even a master baker may not remember exactly what they did 3 months ago. And the cake's going to be different. It might not be as good. So, but I guarantee you, if you use the same recipe and you're diligent about measuring the ingredients and following the steps, I can almost guarantee you the cake is going to be identical 3 months from now. Be the exact same cake. Look at McDonald's. You can order a Big Mac in a different country, and it's the same damn burger. You cannot tell the difference if you're in Europe or you're in California or you're in Okie Muskogee. That Big Mac is going to taste exactly identical because they got a formula. They even have a specific formula for the people that make them, that put them together and assemble them and wrap them in the paper and hand them to you. It's all done to very specific standards. And that's why they can bake that cake and build that burger anywhere in the world the exact same. So when you figure out how to sell something, your thing, whatever your thing is, when you figure out how to sell it, you have a recipe. Why not write it down? Why not repeat it? Why not automate it? And then walk away and let it sell itself. Right? That's what we're talking about. That's what's on that yellow sheet. That's a recipe. That's the recipe I used to bake $172,000 cake. It'll probably work just as well as it did the day I delivered it. So I'll make that promise to you guys that I'm gonna do that. I was kind of reading through this morning. I'm like, God, dog, some of my notes are a little cryptic here. So I'm gonna have to kind of chew on this, decipher it, figure out what exactly I was meaning when I wrote this down, and then I'll match that up against my original slide deck that I made and make a new one for acquisitionaire. So another piece that you guys could use if that's the product that you're trying to sell. I know I was on a call this morning with Roy, and Roy had a big customer online, and he was like, "Hey, can you come on here and help me present this?" And I was really happy that he recorded it, because when I came on to present it, I literally I honestly I forgot about it. And I woke up this morning and it was like 10 minutes before the meeting. I'm like, "Oh shit, I had a meeting this morning." All right. So throw my shirt on and get to my computer. I had no notes, no prep, no nothing. And, I could tell I was the one that's going to give the presentation in the meeting. So the four of us were on there, and silence from the three squares, and I knew, okay, I'm on deck. This is going to be all me. And I presented it in a way that I have not presented it before. And I think it was probably what you would call smooth as glass.
It was brilliant.
So I was really glad that he recorded that, because we can use that. You can see how I presented it. And I guarantee you there was no weeds involved. They did not go into the weeds. The only thing that I think that could have been better was when it came time for the pricing. Like when I show up on those calls with you guys, I am acting as your employee. They don't know that, it's my program. They know it's your program and I'm your tech guy. So that's my role. That's how I show up. And when it comes to the business part, that's when I pass the torch back, because the tech guy is not in charge of pricing typically. That shows a sign of weakness to the business owner. So I always step out of the way, pass the torch back, and take my role. So when I did that, I could tell Roy um, wasn't quite comfortable with that. But I knew better than to step in and step on his toes. So I just,
No, it came out fine.
yeah, no, no, it was fine. But in that process, my whole point was we were giving a presentation. And when it came to that point, that was the closing point. The questions that he was asking you were closing questions. And we didn't close him. I mean, it was a soft close. He was already sold. This guy was not ever coming off the hook. He was belly hooked. He was going home. So, but that said, like when you ask somebody if they're ready to move forward with this, and that was the point where we fell off the wagon. Like he was asking, how much stuff costs, prices weren't an issue, all that. It when that is the time, you have to be really solid. When somebody asks you like what your stuff costs, you can't flutter. You have to say, and here's what I would recommend everybody do. Whatever you're selling, figure out how much you want for it. Like set the price in your head of how much you want to charge, and then set that aside. And now make retail pricing. The price that you're not going to ask for, but the price that you believe the value is actually worth. And when they ask what your pricing is, that's the price that you give them. And you'll notice I do this on all of my stuff. Like go back and look at the ACT sales page. The retail price on it is $19.97. It's $2,000 for the ACT program. I have actually sold it at that price. And you have to do that to be in integrity. You have to be in integrity when you say, this is my normal price. It might be you only sold one at that, but that was your original price out the gate. And so you can say, this is my normal price. And then you can give any kind of a reasonable explanation for why they're going to get a better deal. Like you can say, hey, we have not done anything in your industry, which would have been perfect for this one. We could have said, look, we're trying to penetrate the market that you are in control of. We're willing to come in and work with you as a partner. And in that aspect, I'm going to let you in at this price. And you just lock it down at that point. It's like, get the paperwork out, let's sign on the dotted line, and let's get the show rolling. And everyone appreciates that. Everyone appreciates that level of integrity and that level of let's get stuff done. Because big businesses, that's what they do. They don't pussyfoot around. When they see something they like, they say yes and you move on. You don't linger in that area. Like as soon as it's a yes, you move on. So that is what I would recommend to everybody. Uh, just know your pricing, be very, very confident of it. Here's my retail price. Here's what I'm willing to do for you, and here's why. Even if you're doing like in-room events, let's say you're trying to fill a room, you're doing a presentation, you're trying to sell tickets to get people to come out to a live event. You will sell a certain amount of tickets at the price, right? That's your price. Let's say you're trying to get people into the room at $500. So your ticket price is $497. You sell a certain amount of seats at $497. Now you get an opportunity to fill the rest at a discounted rate. Let's say you get a last minute speaking opportunity and you're going to pitch your event to try and get people into it. You can legitimize a discount. If you just throw a discount out, you got to be careful of that because you can cheapen the product. All of a sudden, you can create an objection that didn't exist before you cheapened the product. Because everybody wonders in the back of their mind, why? Why is it not the right price? And that's an unspoken objection. When it comes time to ask for the order, they might just say no because you cheapened the price. You threw a wrench in the works. The way you can avoid that is by justifying the discount. You have to tell them why. Otherwise, you're going to create a hidden objection and it's going to screw things up. So back to filling the room. We sold a bunch of tickets at $497. We want to fill the rest of the room. So we're talking to a new group. And here's how you do it. You say, you invite them, you tell them all the benefits, you get them to the point where now you're down to the brass tacks. You're trying to get them to sign up. Say, look, most of the people that are in this room paid $497. I'm going to offer you guys the same ticket that they got for $97. And here's why. I have 25% of my seats or 10% of my seats are vacant right now. And I'm filming this and I want to show a full room. So if you're willing to take a seat, you'll be doing me a huge favor and you'll be getting a massive discount in the process. You're going to get the same value that everyone else paid $497 for, but you're going to get it for $97 because you're doing me a favor. That's justifying the discount. If you just say, I'm going to cut the price for you guys down to $97, what you're saying is you're ripping the rest of the people off. What you're saying is the real price is worth $97. And now all of a sudden you just destroyed all your value. And you're no longer integrous. You're somebody that's a con man. So do it right. There's a right way to do this stuff. If you're going to slash your prices, all you have to do is justify the discount. You can use it to your advantage. So the difference there, it's a very, very fine line of the two scenarios I just gave you, right? It's the same thing. You sold X amount for $497 and you're going to sell the rest for $97. But if you don't justify it, you destroyed your credibility in the process. You created huge objections for the people that are coming in at the lower level, and they're not going to trust you. And because you didn't justify the thing and tell them, please don't share this with the rest of the group because they really did pay $4.97 and I don't want to upset them. You've created a bond now. You've created a whole different relationship. You brought them in as an insider instead of, creating a bunch of thought process of, God, I don't want to do business with this cat. There's no way. If this guy did it to them, he's going to do it to me. You see the difference? It's a fine line, too. It's a very fine line. And that's why I say this is the thinking man's game, thinking woman's game. You're basically, for lack of a better word, this doesn't sound very good, but you're building a mousetrap. It's not like you're going to try and kill people like mouse traps are made to do, but it's a metaphor. So don't take it literally. But you're building and they even make reference to it's a better mousetrap, right? That's what we're all trying to do in business. We're trying to build a better mousetrap. That's it. So, however you do that, but think about it. Everything that you do and everything that you say matters. You will be judged upon it by your customers. And that's why, I always talk about lifetime value of a customer. If you treat your customers right, they'll last a lifetime. If you get that line crossed and you get them thinking about you in negative ways, they're going to be looking to replace you. And they're not going to last a lifetime. They're going to only last as long until they find some replacement that they can actually trust. So that's the way to build your business. Build it upon lifetime relationships. They'll last a lifetime. So any questions? You guys got anything you want me to go into? I have a couple of things that came in over the week. Go ahead, Roy.
Yeah, oh, and thank you for that. That we'll have my pricing together when we get together again. The Yesterday you mentioned that it would be good to segment your market. And so
Mhm.
when the leads come in, if they come in on a certain keyword, it would probably be a good thing to run those particular leads into a campaign that would be different from others.
Yeah.
How would you, just an overall, you don't have to get down in the weeds, how would I be able to take certain keywords and run them into certain funnels and other keywords into other funnels?
Sure. So this is the way you build your campaigns. And whether you're using acquisition air or you're doing pay per click, it doesn't matter. Wherever you're getting your traffic's going to be coming in from a lot of varied sources, even if it's the same source, like pay per click. Pay per click is based on keywords. It could be any keyword. You cannot speak the same language to every avatar, though. That's why in the ACT program and analysis, we talk about this. It's segmentation. It's figuring out how many different avatars that you have. And a lot of you will have a bunch of them. Even if you're selling the same thing and it all looks the same, it's different people that are buying it for different purposes. So you have to figure out how many of those that you have. And then I'll use acquisition air as a perfect example of this. When you create a campaign in there, you're using keywords. And if you put too many keywords that are not on a specific avatar, you're going to be blowing it. You're Unless you're going to manually sort through them and answer them one at a time, which that's not automation. You want to make sure you can automate this stuff. So what I would do is I would take each one of those particular avatars and the keywords that they're going to be interested in. And I know some of you guys are much more visual and you're not understanding what I'm saying here. So I'll say it in a way that might make it a little easier for you to understand. Let's say you were in the health market and you covered a lot of health topics, and maybe you do kidney dysfunction So that's one of your specialties. And then maybe you do thyroid function, and maybe you do vision function. Each one of those is a different problem for a different person. So if you put all those keywords into one campaign, you're just saying collectively, I just want leads on all this health related stuff. When the lead comes in and you send them something about vision to the kidney guy, the guy that's got kidney problems, he's not going to see it. He's going to say, that's not me. He's going to self segment his way right out of there. You will not grab his attention. And now you've sent him an irrelevant email. You've trained him that your emails are irrelevant. Send him another one and see what happens. You're training him even deeper. You only want to send people stuff they're interested in. And you're training them that your stuff is good. And you're training them that your stuff is for them. You're training them to open your emails. So I would break those into different campaigns. I would take all the
Okay.
kidney keywords and I would put them into one campaign. I'd take all the vision keywords and I'd put them into one campaign, and so on down the line. I would split them up as specific as possible. And then when you do your automation, all the leads that come in from that campaign go to that funnel that talks specifically about that. Doesn't have anything to do with anything else other than the topic at hand, because that's all that's important to your customer. They don't want to hear about anything else. They want to hear specifically how to solve their problem. And I refer to it as problems. It could be like you probably go, well, how could a vacation like Shantha's here? She sells high-end luxury vacations. And she's probably thinking, well, I don't sell problems. Well, yeah, you do. If you think about it, the problem is you've got a guy that makes a lot of money. He works his ass off probably in a corporate job. And if he doesn't have a time to decompress during the year, he's going to have a meltdown. And he's got a problem he might not even see. You can tell him, hey, here's the reason why you need to spend money on a luxury vacation. Here's the reason why you need to just take a block of time out of your busy schedule and decompress. Because the problem is, if you don't, you're going to have an internal meltdown and you're going to lose that good job. And then all of a sudden, your family that's depended on you for the last 10 years, you're going to have a bigger problem. Your wife's not going to be happy. She's going to leave you and she's going to take those kids that you love with her. I mean, you just spun this into a pretty damn big problem. And it's true. You can paint this as absolutely true. You can show how people have done this. There's people throughout history that have destroyed their families, destroyed their relationships, destroyed their entire lives because they weren't focused on what was important. So, Shanta, the most important thing in anyone's life should be taking a luxury vacation from you. And you just paint the picture in that manner, and you'll probably sell more of them. It's like, and it's a problem. You created a problem out of thin air. Even though your luxury experience is awesome, no one would ever see that as a problem. But you can create that problem as a reason why they need what you've got. So that's why I always kind of put everything into the problem box. All comes down to a problem. The problem is they don't have what they want. And figuring out what's most important to them is one of the most key foundational pieces in the ACT program. Figuring out what somebody wants or what they need, why they want it, why they need it. Why they need it might even be more powerful. So,
I got one more quick one.
yeah, go ahead.
For people that want to be affiliates, how can we go about paying them automatically without having to manually do it? Is there some kind of thing that we're contemplating on that?
There is a way to to automatically pay affiliates, Um, I don't really like it myself.
Oh, okay.
That's one of the things that I do in my operation is I pay all my affiliates manually. I actually like to do that. That's my favorite day of the month, paying
Interesting.
my
Okay.
affiliates. Here's why you don't want to automate it. There's people out there that are not honest as you are. There's people out there that will chuck a bunch of orders through. You'll pay them and then they'll go and they'll refund them and they'll charge them back. There are professional con artists in
Mm.
this game that do that. I don't have too much worry about that because most of my affiliates I know who they are. I know, we have a relationship already. But you got to be careful with that, especially if you open your affiliate program up to the public, up to the world, because there's a lot of people in this world that are just out to scam you. And that's a perfect way for them to do it. False orders, chargebacks, they've got the money and they're gone. There's no getting it back.
Hey,
So,
John. I'm a newbie here, as you know.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm going through the ACT program and I want to tell everybody I have 3 of these that make up the 88 pages because you don't have to punch holes in this type of binder. And it took me about 3 weeks to get through the analysis, and I didn't even do as much as you said we should. So I just want to give people some comfort if they're going through it. It's a lot of work, and I have a marketing background. And I'm still taking the time because it's really exceptional. And I wanted to share with you that when I was doing my competitive analysis, and this sharing because maybe somebody else will get out of it, I came up with, I don't know, 120 keywords, going back to your segmentation thing.
Uh-huh.
And it was really interesting to me as I'm doing my posts. I can't wait to get it. I didn't stop posting, although I can't wait to get to the creation, which I'm ready to jump into. But as I was doing them, I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, so these keywords, like I was taught, put in 30 keywords every Instagram post, this on LinkedIn, this on here, not so many there. And I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna do what makes sense. I'm just gonna put in what really applies. And the competitive research was amazing. I even got a piece in the mail yesterday. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even think of this competitor. Oh, I'm putting them on my list and here's what they do. And what's really cool about your program, and I just have to say all this because it's been a point of pain and excitement. There's a dichotomy going on. But what's really cool is when I was on this call today to sell my product, I was able to say, I've looked at the competitors and I've noticed that they have X, Y, Z, and B, but nobody has this. And I can say that without a shadow of a doubt. And they can, and she has said, you're right. So it just really led the process. I'm excited about you automating this other thing. I'm wondering, and for anybody who cares to know, I'm in the nutrition and weight loss business, and it's my own product, it's my own design. So the thing that I liked about what you were saying is, I mean, I spent with her today, she was a great client, and it's a new business to me, but I'm not new to business. Anyway, it took me about an hour on the line with her. And I think I wished I had recorded it because as I'm thinking about what you were saying, I wished, I'm gonna go back and reformulate in my mind what we did. And maybe I can create like video segments, like, oh, watch this, now watch this, now watch this. If you're ready, hit that. I mean, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's just a process. And
Yeah.
if the more you do it and the more you actually are aware of it, like you should go back and watch your hour recording of what you did today and look and see how many times you went into the weeds. See how much stuff you could cut out and still have this exact same meaning. And like if you talk to a good copywriter, they'll say any word that can be removed and the meaning is not changed, you remove the word. And I was really amazed this morning when I did that presentation with Roy. I was thinking, like, I'm just into it, I'm just delivering the goods. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, wow, I wonder how long this is gonna take. And I looked down, I was thinking we were probably 20 minutes in. I had already gotten it all out on the table, and I looked down and we're like 7 minutes in. And I'm like, wow, this whole thing got just shrunk down to like 7 minutes. And in 7 minutes, this guy was sold. After I stopped talking, he basically came forward with what was important to him, and he was already pre-sold. He was selling it back to us. And that's what somebody does when you've done a really good job at selling them. They will regurgitate it back to you and try and justify it to themselves in the process. And when they do that, you've done right. You've just locked it down. Because that's what a lot of people will do. They have to internally justify it. So by explaining it back to you, what they're really doing is they're pre-justifying it to themselves. And just don't get in their way. Just let them do it. Let them do it. Don't interrupt them. They're selling it to themselves. So but go back and look at your presentation. And I'm not saying you could get what you're doing down into 7 minutes, but just anywhere where you can shorten the process, it not only is good for you, it's good for them too. Because when you give them too much information, it overwhelms them. And somebody that's overwhelmed is not going to buy anything. So if you can take it to the point where you're just really hitting the key elements of here's how it works at a top level, here's why you want it, here's what's different about it, here's the reason why, what it's going to do for you. And then just step back and let them resell it to you. And if they do, you got your process nailed down. And they'll do that naturally. If they don't, then you got a problem in your presentation. It might not be your problem. It might be just you were talking to the wrong person. So don't, here's what I would tell you just generically, and this goes for everybody. If you put out, I'm just going to call it the goods. If you put out the goods and they should want this and they don't fight it. Just let them go. They don't want to be there. Just move on to someone that you can help. Your life will be a lot happier. So, Richard, you got a question there?
Yeah, I've been mulling and stuff here, and I've almost convinced myself of one thing, and listening to you talk, I may have got turned right around and unconvinced myself. It seems to me that there's a lot of people out there paying for advertising. And if rather than shifting to a specific one, just talk to people that are paid advertisers.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is so new, they don't understand it. And I've had the experience of talking and talking and talking, and there's not asking they're not asking buying questions. They're asking questions to try and resolve confusion, which is annoying.
That's
But if I'm looking at
that's kind of a sign that you've taken them into the weeds.
Well, that might very well be the case, but usually what I'm doing is I'm trying to qualify them in terms of what do you do to the follow-up process. And I had a company many, many years ago called Profitability Consulting. And one of the things that I seemed to find that I had a knack for is I can walk into a company, and while it's very hard for me sitting here in my own little cloister trying to create clay out of air to be able to make something, if I go into another company, they've got a whole wad of clay. And in most cases, they got good pieces, they just stick them in the wrong place. And I can go in there and I can seem like a miracle worker and in 60 or 90 days just put things back where they belong and, you know, get a 40% increase month over month for a few months running was not out of the case. It was usually more like 25 to 30%, but I had gusts up to 40. And my thought was going in, they may have a follow-up system. It may or may not work. If it doesn't work, I get blamed for it because for the leads, not because they're doing crappy follow-up or no follow-up at all, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So why not here? Let me put together a program for you. Here's the leads, but I'm charging you $5,000 a month until we get this stuff sorted out. But then I'm doing, you know, now I'm doing manual. Now I'm getting committed to companies and that sort of stuff. It was fun when I did that with a company and I actually ended up owning part of the company at the end of it. But the question is, maybe I should just sort harder and just sell leads and not worry about,
Yeah, yeah, because
yeah,
you know, you had mentioned that they were confused, and when you take them from the point of you're trying to sell them a lead system and you get them into the follow-up process, you're taking them in the weeds. And if you have to do that and they don't know what you're talking about, that I can guarantee you is just the wrong customer altogether. Like when I was on with Roy's guy, he already had a process. It was very obvious. I got enough out of him to know it was there, and then I left it alone because I don't need to take him in the weeds on that. He already knows what he's doing. It was obvious. So it was just purely about the lead system. We went nowhere but right where we needed to be. You know, I get that you want to pre-qualify them out, but somebody that doesn't have a follow-up system in place, I guarantee you they're going to be a lot of work because they don't know, you know, they haven't been through the ACT system. They probably don't really even have a successful business, honestly. They're probably in business. They might be just getting by, but they don't have their processes figured out. And you know how much work is involved in the ACT program. Do you really want to dive into their business and do all that work for them? Or do you just want to find the guy that's already done all that work and he's just ready for the traffic? Because Acquisitionaire is a traffic product, and you know that's on the end of ACT: analysis, creation, and traffic. So I think you would personally be better off to filter them out to the ones that are ready for traffic. And the conversation there, if they're ready for traffic and they're already buying traffic, what you don't want to try and talk them out of what they're doing. Like if they're spending $10,000 on pay-per-click, you don't want to try and talk them out of that because they're probably getting some sort of results, even if they're mediocre. And you don't want to talk them out of getting any results they're already getting. What you want to talk them into is testing with a small budget to see how effective what you have is against what they've got. And then if it makes sense, then you migrate some of that bigger budget over onto your side of the fence.
So what you're saying is that even if they're getting mediocre results, they're just still going to get mediocre results with our leads, but because the leads are a little better, it'll be a little better mediocre results rather than really blowing it up. And I kind of like, I guess I have been working very actively to get rid of my OCD. I really have this thing. If I see something wrong, I want to fix it.
Yeah, I get
and,
that.
And you can make a shit ton of money doing consulting, but that's not selling leads. And I guess what I was looking at was I was allowing myself to get snagged into the scarcity mindset. And there's not enough people out there that are doing, yeah, never mind. So
yeah.
you helped
No,
me, John.
you need to decide what's important to you. If freedom's important to you, then you need to make the dots connect to the fact that this is how we get freedom. We stay out of the weeds. We stay away from fixing everybody's shit. We look for the ones that already have systems in place that you can help. And it's like, you know, I use this, and this is really a nasty analogy because you know, it kind of doesn't go for my core, but it's absolutely true. A lifeguard will not swim out to try and save a struggling person until they're ready to give in. When they follow instructions, he'll bring them to safety, but he's not going to put himself in jeopardy by going out and fighting with them while they're struggling. You know, you do not swim up to a struggling person that's about to go down looking for their last gasp of air, because they're going to take you down with them.
Yeah, well, I actually took lifeguard training, and that's really, really close. Actually, what you do is when they're struggling, you approach them underwater from behind and pull them underwater, and then they're focused on going forward, trying to get back up, and you can go behind them and then pull them up. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You don't go in and address somebody who's struggling, because you're right, they will absolutely pull you down. You got to have a workaround. And
Yeah.
I succumbed to a scarcity mindset. Mea culpa. Thank you, John.
You might want to connect with Jay. I know you know NLP, but it's just like everything else, you know, like we all can benefit from someone outside helping us with something that we already know versus us trying to do it ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there is no way you're ever going to be able to get at that little blackhead you have behind your ear, because you just can't see it. You got to have somebody else. You got to do it. That's why I spend $10,000 to $15,000 a year on education. And I have for 40 years. So, or 50, I guess it's actually 50 years now. But anyway, yeah, that's, you always need to pay somebody else to give you a discounted version of the lesson you could pay for on your own, but they usually have gotten something close enough that you don't have to go through that pain if they're willing to tell you how they did it, for sure.
Yeah, well, Jay, he's kind of our in-house NLP specialist. So if anybody has mind work that needs to be done, I would highly recommend that you connect with him. And Jay, you might want to put your contact info in the chat for anybody that's listening and needs assistance.
Happy to do that. You know, we've had a lot of good success keeping it very simple.
Yeah,
Yeah. And the NLP is actually how the brain works. You're not, well, all you're doing is learning how the brain works, and then speaking to not only how the brain works, but then you add the marketing into it and all that sort of. That was what profitability was about, was, quite frankly, it was actually an NLP play, because what we went in there, looked for business owners that didn't realize that the reason they kept losing deals is because they didn't like talking to people that wore red ties. And every time they went into a presentation with a red tie, they'd blow the sale. I mean, and that goes on minute by minute in just about every business out there. Somebody's got something that's getting in the way, and you covertly NLP them, which was how I was taught, which is incredibly out of out of integrity. It was just, that was kind of, I didn't know.
We don't even,
that was bad.
the covert thing. The covert thing is not a cool kosher thing. We teach it.
Yeah, well,
completely transparently, up and up. Everybody's on board. It's a win-win. That's the way it works.
Yeah, well, that's what Tony Robbins says. And I worked for Tony Robbins for about 2 months. I did like 15 firewalks or whatever. But everything he did on stage early on, where he was doing this sort of stuff and he'd straighten it was all unconscious anchoring. And if you got into his program, you could be successful. But as soon as you got out of his programs, you'd find all of a sudden, gee, I'm struggling. I guess I need to go back to Tony, because he installed a Tacoma where at the moment that you started using his materials to make you successful, and it didn't include him, you forgot what you were doing. And that is literally how Tony launched his business. I hope, I've watched him. He's wandered away from that somewhat, but it's still in his presentation. So go watch Tony Robbins' presentation, Jay, front to back, and you'll see what I mean.
Oh, believe me, I've studied a lot of Tony. I had to study the dark side to know the light side.
The light side of NLP come to you will.
Absolutely.
Well, one thing I can tell you guys for sure is when I went through NLP training and learned, what I learned, which is like just a sliver. I learned just like a sliver of it. It has been so beneficial in just the way I do business, the way I operate, the way I look at things, the way I just present myself. It has been a huge, massive change. So, and for those of you that don't know, NLP it stands for neuro linguistic programming. It's a way to communicate. It's a way to model what works in the real world. It's not like voodoo. It's good stuff. It's solid stuff that you should know as a human being. And we're
It's
not
just a catalog.
Yeah, it's just how you
It's a
should.
catalog it's a catalog of the way that we talk and the way that we think. That's all.
Yeah. And it's really helpful knowing it to understand other people's points of view and how they think. Because, we're not all the same. We're not all programmed the same. We all have programming that starts, when we see the light of day for the first day in our life. All that programming starts. And like, I was very different. I knew I was different very early on from all the people I was around. And what I started noticing later on when I was looking back at that, of why is that? What made me different? It was the way I was programmed. My dad was an engineer, and I believe, he's passed on now, but I really wish, knowing what I know now, that I could ask him a few questions, because I believe he engineered me to be who I am. And, the things that I was told as a kid was very different than what my friends were being told. They were being told things like money doesn't grow on trees. I never heard that inside my house. I heard things like you can have whatever you want. These things cost money. You just have to figure out how to get it. It's a very different programming, very different messaging. So I was taught from the word go that I could have whatever I wanted, and that has been true throughout my entire life. I've also been taught that whatever I wanted came with a cost, and all I had to do was figure out how to get that. So, and I would never have been able to live the life that I've lived if I worked for someone, because I wouldn't have been able to get the money that I needed to do what I wanted to do from a regular job, nor would I have the time. I would have been stuck in bondage working for someone else so they could have the life I wanted. That's how it would have gone. And I wouldn't have been the person that I am today had that been the case. So anyway, let's go to Mr. McLean. He's been waiting there. He's got to have a cramp in his arm. He's had his hand up so long.
Uh, uh, hey everyone, good to see you all. I'm remote in the car, but good stuff so far. I joined a little late, so I'm going to ask a question. It might have got asked before, but
Sure.
here's the thing. I just came. I'm wearing a. If you could see me, you'd say, "Why are you wearing a shirt with a collar?" Well, I just came from a meeting with someone to offer these acquisition air services, and the person was. I kept it short as best I could. The person was enthralled, and it's funny you mentioned let them sell it back to you while I'm offering the presentation and showing them how it works. They're literally filling in the blanks and regurgitating it back, and so it was really it was beautiful meeting. And then we got to the question of all questions that brought everything to a crushing halt.
How much does it cost?
What's nope, nope. He was I was hitting it on all points. He was pleasantly pleased at the cost I quoted. Loved the interface, was filling it in. Like I say, here's the crushing question. What's the legality?
Oh,
I can't, and I said, and here's my response. It says, well, no, we go to big data and we get people who've agreed to, and I'm kind of mumbling words, agree to receive email from people. And he goes, so my point is, what I want to ask you, John, you've been in deep conversations with Go High Level. You've been in conversations with Kartra. Certainly they must have asked, what's the legality? And, and I know you want to, answer the question, but I got to get it out. If I don't, it'll be in my head. Is it that big data buys it and the person clicked on a box that said, I'm open to receive marketing stuff? Or is that they technically didn't click on a box not to receive stuff? Either way, can you answer this question
Yes.
clearly, specifically, and in a way that I can present proof so that someone says, okay, let me take it to our lawyers and run with it?
Yes, absolutely. It is 100% absolutely legal. There is nothing at all illegal about what we're doing. And the proof to that, like that's a claim that could be disputed. So here's the proof to it. You say, there is a law in place that's called the Can-Spam Act. And in there, it is very clear that anyone can email anyone else, solicited or not, as long as you put in a disclaimer of you can opt out at any time by clicking this link. You have to give them a way to opt out. That's it. So whether we bought the data or not is irrelevant. It is legal for you to email anyone anytime as long as you give them a way to opt out and not receive email from you ever again. That's the
Okay.
law.
All right. Let me ask you one quick, with that, is that a federal law or is it a state law? Because the person said here in California, we cannot contact them. And by the way, he was mixing up phone with perhaps email because his business
Yeah,
relies on that.
phone
But
is very different.
Uh,
He's
yeah, yeah.
correct on phone. He is not correct on email.
And because he was like blending them and not specifying, I think he might have been talking about that. But either way, he said here in California, we can't contact someone without their permission. My question is, the act that you just specified, is that a federal that applies to all 50 states, or
Correct.
does California have a different law to negate that?
No,
Well,
that is a federal thing. Can-Spam Act is a federal thing. What he's
Okay.
referring to, I know what he's referring to. He's referring to a phone law. There is a phone law for California.
Well, the People's Republic of California has a lot of weird laws that are,
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it's a lot like European laws.
that's true.
And
But all that said, I mean, falling under the umbrella of the Can-Spam Act, we've taken it a step further to even ensure it even further by purchasing big data where people have actually opted in to receive marketing materials on top of that. So we have a double layer to keep them from worrying about the legalities of emailing cold leads.
mm,
Like there
can
are
I?
mailing
Mhm.
companies that you can contact to do bulk mail to people that have no interest whatsoever in your email communication. And that's done every day. It's a common practice. There's nothing illegal about it as far as email. Now, phone stuff is a different issue. That's why we recommend you don't call the leads,
Mhm.
but what you do, you email them. And here's the process that I have found. I've told a lot of people this. The ones that have done it have gotten good results out of it. I say, well, the first email that you send them should just tell them something useful without giving them a link, without giving them a call to action. Just tell them you got something really useful for them. Here's what it is. Here's how you use it. Whatever, give them a tip on something that they want that'll help them get what they want, whatever that
Mhm.
might be. And then in the same email, say, I've got more. If you would like it, I'm happy to send it to you. Just respond back, just reply back, and I'm happy to give you more. So
Mhm.
now they respond to your email, they want more. Now your response back to them should be, would you like me to text it to you?
Ooh, that's good.
If they say yes, you just opted them in to receive SMS, and it's game on.
Can I ask you a variation on that? You say, can I text it to you, that's less personal. Is that a better step than saying, can I call you? Which is kind of like, now you're creeping me out.
Now, I would not offer to call them at that point. You haven't deserved
Yeah,
the right yet. You haven't earned it.
I'm
So
right there with you. Text is less of a commitment. Got it.
yes, yes, exactly. So what I would do, I would say, I have this thing I can email you, but I also have this other thing. If you will allow me to text it to you, I'll send you that too. And if they're into that conversation at that point, they're gonna say yes 99 out of 100 times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that is a
Yeah.
really good mousetrap to build for this type of a
Um,
campaign.
Okay, I see you're building on something that starts with the email. You say, may I also have something else. May I text it to you? Is that leading to a eventual phone call? Because here's the
That
reason I asked.
that
The
would be
entity I was,
that would be
go ahead.
completely up to them. I would say, hey, if
Okay.
you'd like to schedule a call, let me know. I can, if you're texting with them, they can say, yeah, call me right now. And
Okay.
but everything you want to do, you want to base it on permission versus force.
Got it. Got it. That's good.
Just,
And it's all part of the know, like, and trust.
yeah, I mean, just be nice.
Hmm. Oh, wait, I have to make a note of that. Hold it. Be nice. I better
Be
underline that.
nice.
Okay. All right. Because here's the because the entity I was speaking to while I was in his office had a room of people on the phone making sales, calling people. And
Yeah,
he pointed out, he says, now those leads we got, they were purchased with absolute guarantee that the person had given permission, and B, there were people that went to our website, opted in so that we're calling them. So they're kind of call heavy, but they literally can see the advantage of emailing, establishing a relationship, and especially with the wisdom you just imparted about, hey, can I text it to you?
yeah.
That's anyway, but as a supplement, because yeah, anyway.
How much more effective would their business be if
Hmm.
they had people that actually wanted a call versus them
Mm,
calling 100 people to get maybe one to listen to them?
right, right. And you know what? It's never underestimate the power of an email sequence to warm them up, keep your name on the top burner, or in the back of their mind, the back burner,
Yeah,
offer them incentives, but also it's if you automate it right, if a business automates it right, well, you just hit the sequence and it's doing the work in the background
yeah.
while you're trying to get that text, while you're working towards a phone call. So never underestimate the power of email. Anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not just the email, it's you're building a relationship.
right.
A lot of people in their marketing, they don't focus on trying to build a relationship. They focus on trying to sell their shit. And that's
Mm,
all that's important to them. And it's obvious. And that's not the recipe for building a long-term relationship.
okay.
That's like
All right.
the
Well, go ahead.
what do they call them? The guys that are out to date, just to, they call it hit it and forget it. That's going to get them what they want for the time being, but then they're right back to where they started. They got nothing.
Okay.
Have to start
Never,
over
never,
the next time the sun goes down.
mm, okay.
They've got
Yeah.
no stability. Pickup artists, the pickup artist guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So it's like day and night after asking these questions and getting these answers and more. So
Well,
to
the more
summarize,
you learn,
go ahead.
like that's what I was saying last week. Like if you run into something, bring it to me.
Yeah.
Bring me the things that you're having trouble with, and I can fix them. And then the more
Oh,
of those you get fixed, the more confident you become. There's going to be a day very soon in your future that you're going to have no confidence issues. You're going to
yeah.
presentation, you're going to have all the answers, and you're going to be on top of the world. And
Yeah.
you're going to be selling some shit.
Yeah.
whether you like it or
Well,
not.
oh, I like it. Me like it. Uh, so I like that what you said. It's like you said, listen, if you run into something, bring it to me. And I thought, oh man, next time I hit a pedestrian, I'm showing up at your door. What do I do with the body? What do I do with the body? Uh,
He's got lots of hiding places, man. That's a
Don't
great
bring it
idea.
to my house. Bring it to the boat.
oh yeah.
Dude,
Yeah,
even I
instead
need
of
to take
asking,
it to the boat. Come on, man.
yeah,
Stop at Home
instead of
Depot and grab some cinder blocks.
oh, yeah. So instead of asking you if you got a shovel, I'll say, "Hey, you got
Got
some
some
fuel in the
lead.
tank?" All
Got
right.
lead
So
boots.
here's what I
You
got
guys
from
all
the
saw the
call.
disclaimer that this was being recorded. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a little slip of the button can erase that.
My name is
But
Craig Duswalt, for the record. Yeah.
well, I'm gonna definitely watch it. But what I've picked up from this is that to address that, what's the legality? I'm gonna look up the Can Spam Act, print that out
Yep.
with me and carry it to people. It is applies to email. It's a federal law, so it's okay unless California came up with something. Well, you see, California can't overrule that, so it's a federal law. It's as long as they have an option to opt out. Bulk emailers, you mentioned, are doing this all the time
Yep.
as part of their business. And then play up how even if you're a call centric center, the power of don't underestimate the power of emails. It can get you to asking if you would like me to text it to you. It can build a relationship. It can send them helpful stuff and keep warming them up for that phone call, or the email might do the work for you. Does that all sound right, John?
Absolutely. That
All
is
right,
absolutely right on the money.
man. You ought to put a little tip jar in Zoom.
What you're building there is you're building a benefit stack.
Yeah.
When you stack the benefits up so tall they can't see anything but the benefits, that's when they buy.
Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. Well, I need a cigarette after this, so thanks.
So stack those benefits tall, wide, and be proud of them.
All right. All right. Thanks, John. Much
And
obliged.
if you guys really want to nail it home, building your benefit stack is a really important thing to do. You want to think about every possible benefit that someone could get out of using your product or service. And every one of those benefits, if you really want to make them like nuclear powered, then three-dimensionalize them. And for those of you that have not heard that term yet, that's a piece of the ACT program, three-dimensionalizing the benefits. It's a part of creation. And what you do is you take the benefit, and most people will just state the benefit. That's one-dimensional. Stating it is so they can hear it. Again, that's one-dimensionality. And that's just nothing more than just saying what the benefit is, right? That's it. If you want a one-dimensional benefit, you got it. But to three-dimensionalize the benefit, you say it in a way that they can hear it, see it, and feel it. And this is what people get in real life. This is taking a real life thing and digitizing it. And like an example of this is if you go to buy a car, I guarantee you, before they're going to want to talk about anything, they're going to want to put you behind the wheel and let you feel it. You're going to hear it, you're going to see it, and you're going to feel it. When you feel it, that's what creates the emotion. People buy things on emotion. And when they start to feel it, they start imagining more things. They start forecasting things into the future of how they're going to feel when they get home with it, how they're going to feel when all their neighbors are looking and they're envious. It's very powerful. It's so much more powerful than just stating the benefit of what the benefit is one dimensionally. So there are NLP trigger words here to help you do this. Like when you state the thing of where you want them to see it, we've all seen things. We all have images in our head that we can access at any time. So you say it in a way that they're going to access an image that they've seen before that attaches to what you want them to see now. And a good one for that, a good trigger word is remember. You know, that's a good one. Remember, like I'll use weight loss as an example. And in the weight loss, if you're trying to sell a weight loss product, the benefit is losing weight, right? That's the one-dimensional benefit. It's not very exciting. But if you know your avatar and you know what they want, why they want it, you can be really, really effective at this. So I'm going to three-dimensionalize a weight loss product for a woman that is going to go to a high school reunion. She wants to lose the weight so she feels good about herself, you know, in front of her friends that she hasn't seen in 20 years. So the first thing is saying it so she can hear it. You know, our product is going to take the pounds off effortlessly, you know, so you can get down to the weight you want to be seen at your reunion, right? That's the one dimensional. It's good. It's good. But then you can say the part so she can see it. And you can say, remember how good you used to look when you'd look in the mirror and you were at that weight. She knows what that looks like. That's going to bring the picture up bright and strong right in her mind. So now she can actually see it. She can see what she wants. And now we transport her into the future with the trigger word of imagine. Imagine, we're going to activate her imagination so we can transport her into something that doesn't exist. The remember word triggers something that did exist so she can see an image that's already in her head. But now we want her to see an image that has never existed before. So we're going to use the word imagine. Imagine how you're going to feel when you walk into the reunion and all the heads turn and people are talking about how good you look. That's what she really wants. And you just let her feel it like putting her behind the wheel of the car. That's three-dimensionalizing your benefits. If you can do that, it's going to change your sales forever. Because that now you've just pulled emotion in at a very large level.
John, what you're doing, that I just had somebody say that a different way here just recently that really helped, is that what you really want to do is you don't want to give them the benefit, you want to give them the benefit of the benefit, or the outcome of the outcome. Take it that third step, because if you just go, here's what it is and here's the benefit, that isn't really what they want. They want the benefit of the benefit is what they want, that second level, and really segment your brain to make sure that you're taking it far enough down the road to what they really want.
Yeah. So taking that one that I just gave you as an example, you could use, as you're in the imagine phase, you can say, imagine how you're going to feel when Billy Bob that dumped you at the prom sees how you look today and is just absolutely sick and wants to throw up over what he missed out on. I mean, yeah, you're right. Take it to the wall. Like Cialdini talks about taking them into the pit of hell. It's a totally different angle. This is a totally different thing. But in his sales process, he walks them into the pit of hell of what's going to happen if they don't use your product. And, you know, this is going to trigger that, and that's going to trigger this. And eventually you're going to be broke and homeless, and, you know, your wife's going to leave you and the kids are going to hate you and you're going to die cold and wet under a bridge somewhere. Now he does warn that don't take someone into the pit of hell and just leave them there. That's not nice. When you got them in the pit of hell, give them hope, shine the light on the way out, and give them the ladder. Put the ladder down there so they can climb their way out of the pit of hell. Don't leave them there. Not cool.
Hey, John. Can I ask you one quick follow-up question to my other question?
Sure.
The one thing the person brought up, I got to the integrations, and they said, does it integrate with the CRM? And I go, well, yes and no. I'm saying this to see how you would react to it in a better spin. And I said, it does it with SendGrid. They said we don't use that, and Kartra, et cetera, et cetera. And they said, well, we use blank. And I realized that their CRM might be specific actually to their industry. You know how someone comes along with a CRM specific. So I said, well, there is Zapier software which can take, which is designed to take the leads that come in real time from the Google Sheet and integrate Google Sheet with your CRM.
Yes.
Uh,
So the way
and
to
so
do
why-
that,
Go
the
ahead.
way to do that without taking them into the weeds, because I just did that
Yeah.
this morning with Roy.
Okay.
It was the same thing. And I
Yeah.
didn't even let it come up as a question. I
Okay.
did not allow it to come up as a question. I knew it was going to be an objection question, and I crushed it before it even showed up.
Mhm.
I said, we pipe the leads into a Google Sheet for you. And at that point, you can integrate it with any CRM just by having your tech team use a Zapier Zap, and it's right into your system. Now,
Oh, good. Go ahead.
that's what I said. And I said, if by chance you use SendGrid or your team uses SendGrid or Go High Level, we already have those integrations in. You just plug in your API key and away you go. Boom. Nothing said.
Yeah. But I love that response, the way you kind of sweep it under the carpet. Say, yes, it's possible. There's a software that does this. Have your tech team can dial you in so
Yeah.
that it will
And not
integrate
even
as you.
possible.
Yeah.
Possible is not a good word here. You say without any hesitation, yes, it integrates into any CRM using Zapier. Just like that. Boom, done.
Even better. Okay.
Yep.
Got it. Thanks.
Because when you say, well, yeah, it is possible. You see, I just step back. Yeah, it's possible. That's bullshit. They're gonna say, yeah, no, it ain't working. And now what's happened, what you just did is you installed an objection that they're not going to state that's going to keep them from making the sale when you get there. Don't install that objection. Be very confident in everything you say to them. And like I'm getting really good at identifying what the objections are going to be and just crushing the shit out of them before they even show up on the scene. And so that's it. And there's not that many. There really, with acquisition error, there is not that many objections. A presentation on this thing is really easy. Like I said, I've said this over and over. This is the sexiest thing I've ever had at my disposal to try and sell. And it's a no-brainer. It really is. Jay's over there going, yeah, right on. Crush them.
There's no objections because everybody wants to buy it. People love new tech. People would, I mean, think about it as a marketer. Everybody's going to want to buy it and go shout from the rooftops to their friends or keep their friends from getting it and going, yep, you can't have it because it's all mine. They want it. They love it. They want it. There's no objections. Objections are all in your mind.
Yeah.
I promise. The only questions are revealing whatever's important to them. That's it.
That's what I said last week. I said, don't chase ghosts. Those objections, like Jay just said, most of those objections are only in your head. Those are what I refer to as ghosts.
100%.
Like as you make
100%.
presentations, just like you're doing, Chris, just when you come up with those things, bring them to me and I'll crush them for you. There's not going to be very many. You might have already had them crushed today. So you might be like on fire, just ready to blow this thing up.
We can do
Yeah,
another objection answering strategy if you guys want to. It's easy.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. That would be good. And we could bring some more specifics, like the examples I just gave kind of thing. So that would be great, Jay. Any help you could give is great. There's someone just recommended a book. I forget who wrote it, but it's called Who. And the book is, the premise is, when you need to do something, don't ask how to do it. Ask who does this? Who do I need to contact that does this so that I can move forward past the objection? So stop asking how and ask who. and my who is now Jay. Jay, you're my who. You're my who, boo.
That's
I'll be right
awesome.
back. I
Don't
gotta go
da-
let the
don't-
dogs out. I'll be right back.
Don't get to dangle at Jay without delivering.
No worries. Anytime. I already told you guys, if you want to do it, reach out to me. I'd be happy to put together a Zoom call and just handle it.
Awesome.
Well, go ahead. You've got the floor.
What am I going to do with a floor? Holy smokes.
I've seen him dance, guys. We don't want that.
Not in grease, though.
No, but he
usually
does.
damage-
He does
usually
a
in
hell of a-
vegetable oil.
He does a hell of a karaoke on a cruise ship, though. Didn't you win the karaoke contest on the cruise ship?
Yeah, that was funny.
I didn't
That
just
was a story.
hallucinate that, did I?
No, yeah, we won't talk about that one.
Yeah, that was on one of the marketers cruises some years ago.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. That was fun. We had a good old time.
Awesome.
What,
All right.
what was the song, dude? What was the song?
I don't know if it
Crocodile
was
Rock.
Elvis.
No, it
Or
was
not,
Elton.
no, not Elvis, Elton. Yeah,
Yeah, Crocodile Rock.
yeah. That was awesome.
It's
Ah.
it's burned into the scarred portion of my memory until I'm gonna have to do some work on that.
All right. Well, with
do
that
do a
said,
memory erase.
before we go totally off the rails, let's go to Nick.
Brady Shania Twain. That probably would have been a good one, Brady. I'll have to try that next year.
Nick, go ahead.
A little off of your acquisition air target, but I wanted to get the opinion maybe from multiple people in the group. But I'm in the process of shifting away from originally a strategy of going through channel partners to sell our B2B service offering. And now we're going direct and building out like affiliates, referral partners, and that. But I wanted to have like an omni-channel, YouTube, Facebook, SEO, SEM, Google AdWords to generate these kind of leads. My question is, at what point do I hire somebody to be my digital marketing internal person versus there's so much happening right now with this generative AI, all these different apps that are automating so much of it. Do I just use an outsourced digital advertising agency to get the mousetrap built? Or should I just be, as it kind of constantly be a moving target and I need an internal marketing automation person?
Yeah, well, the thing with internal is a lot of times internal, you have to train them. And if you don't have the skill set yourself to do that, you might be swimming up a serious street trying to do
I would definitely have to hire somebody with experience.
Yeah, yeah. And even with that, how are you going to know if they're doing right?
Guess
if
the
you don't-
results.
Yeah, if you don't have the experience yourself, but you could go through a lot of learning curve doing that. The same thing with all the generative AI, unless you know what you need done, it's going to be really hard to develop that. So I would say going with somebody, like you said, somebody that has the experience, or even hiring out to an agency that's got that experience. Like for me, when I scaled up several of my programs in the past, what I would try and do is I would try and find a JV broker. The JV broker is somebody that will take a commission on top of the affiliate commissions to manage the affiliates for you. And the thing is, if they don't do anything, they don't get paid anything. They get a commission of sales. So that's a different, like when you bring somebody in-house, they're going to want to get paid. When you're
Sure.
using affiliates and JV brokers, they're getting paid on sales. They're performance-based. And a JV broker, he's really highly incentivized to get you the right partners and manage them and make sure, he's the cat herder. He's going to herd all the cats down the channel and get them to do what you need to do, which is sell your stuff. So he gets paid. So I might look at something like that where maybe, you're hiring a manager to do that and base it all off of sales commissions.
I've just noticed even I've been referred to different like digital marketing agencies, and well, this one says, "Oh, here's your quote." Well, it's all website design, SEO, SEM,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, well, do you do TikTok marketing? Do you do YouTube? Do you do Facebook? Do you do, these are the omni-channel paths, pay per click or
Yeah. If you get, I don't know what scale you're at, but if you get up to a certain scale where you're actually buying a volume of traffic, it opens up some more channels to that truly are omni channels. So, but it's you got to get up to a pretty high level of ad spend before you're there. So if you're there, that might be something that I might recommend to you. And what you're talking about there is you're talking about a media buyer. So the company that offers the omni channel, they'll connect you with a media buyer, and that's like your agent, your rep. And then they work out, a program with you, and they're incentivized because they make more money as you spend money with their company. So that's something, but that's on a scale level. You need a pretty good bridge to get to that.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. I'm looking to just, like you said, build a better mousetrap. Build a mousetrap. So I said, I've got this for email drip automation going out, and I've got these, watch this intro video, dig into this explainer video. If you like what you hear, watch the whole webinar, click here to sign up, and then whether that comes from a YouTube pre-roll or a Facebook ad or a Google AdWords or an acquisition air,
And here's another thing too that's going to make this easy for you. If you figure out how to sell your stuff and don't rely on someone else to do that for you, you're going to be light years ahead. Because at that point, you're taking a proven process and you're basically just getting people to bake the cake for you.
Interesting.
If you're
Well,
trying,
we know how to sell it. I mean, we've got delighted customers, and I can't have a conversation with a business owner I meet at the bar and say, well, what do you do? Oh, we generate more qualified candidates easier, faster, and cheaper than is otherwise available. They're like, how much is it? If I never have to go to ZipRecruiter again, are you kidding? So reason I was thinking about affiliates or referrals is it's who already has those relationships with a lot of small to medium-sized businesses.
Yes, exactly. You can scale up pretty quickly by doing that. That's where, if you get a JV broker, he might already have the relationships with those vendors already, and he can slide you in, 10 times easier and faster than you could do it yourself.
Perfect. And JV broker, that's a title. That's something I can just Google.
Yes, a JV broker is someone that handles the brokerage of that aspect.
Cool.
Like they have in their repertoire, they've got all the channel partners, if you want to call them that. They're affiliates. They manage affiliates and super affiliates. So they can look at your offer and they can say, yeah, I've got, of my 50 people, I've got 10 of them that are perfect for you. Let's set up webinars.
Perfect. All right. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, let's go to Sue before we wrap up for today. Sue, did you want me to talk about the legal stuff that you emailed me about?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's two things, like Sue had emailed me if I could talk about legal stuff. And again, I have to preface this with I am not an attorney and I can't give legal advice. So this is
No,
just
you can tell me means who did your legal. Maybe I can take their help.
yeah,
So
no, absolutely. But what I can tell you is I can tell you based on my experience, the things I've seen and the things to avoid and things like that. There's two things here. Basically, you've got legal issues that can come up from things that you're doing in your business. Like one of them, and this is such, I think they should just take these attorneys and put them all in jail for doing what they do, because they attack small businesses for things like ADA compliance, right? Like there has been cases where they'll attack a website owner because their website's not ADA compliant. I think that is probably the most chicken shit thing I've ever heard of in my life. to do that. But there are attorneys out there that are ambulance chasers, and they do that for a living. So by having an ADA widget on your site, even though it's just a cheap widget, it's showing that you are trying, and they'll avoid you like the plague just because of that.
What is
Doesn't mean-
that? I have no idea what is the ADA compliance. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. ADA is American Disabilities Act. That's what ADA
Okay.
stands for. And it's
Mhm.
basically, it's a group of people that is advocates for handicapped people. Like they're the ones that go into businesses and make them required to put in handicap facilities in the bathrooms and in the hotels. They have to have that now. And they've even gone and sued cities for not having handicap curbs, to get a wheelchair up and down in intersections. And they've made a lot of money suing businesses and public entities and even cities and municipalities. So they put together this massive engine, if you will, to advocate for the handicap. That's ADA compliance. So I don't know how they thought that evolved over into the websites. So they'll go after big businesses and even some little businesses, and all they're looking for, they know a little business, all they want to do is settle. So they'll slap a lawsuit on you and they'll say, well, for a couple grand this can go away. And they're just thieves. They're just absolute thieves. But anyway, the thing that you can do to kind of dissuade them from coming your way is just putting an ADA widget on your website. We offer them. We usually do those with people that we build websites for. We can offer that to them, put it on. It's something that's pretty low cost. That's a way to get around that one. The other one is FTC. This is Federal Trade Commission. They're a little nastier. This is actually a federal organization. And what they're in place to do is they're in there to protect consumers. So they will go after you for things like income claims. You want to steer away from income claims at all costs. If you claim someone can use your product to make an income, they're gunning for you. And you do not want them coming your way because they are the nastiest people on the face of the earth. You are guilty until proven innocent. If they come your way, they'll lock up your assets, seize everything, lock up your bank accounts, and then you got to figure it out from there. And they've done that to quite a few of the successful internet marketers. And the reason I told you I would steer away from the name you were talking about, like My First Million, because that's an income claim.
No. I changed.
That's
So
an
yeah,
implied.
the moment I got your email, immediately, I dropped that idea. Yeah.
Yeah, that is an implied income claim. So I would steer clear of that kind of stuff at all costs. Now with
Yeah, those laws have got great big teeth. Ask Frank Kern, right, John?
Oh yeah, Frank is one of many that got bit by those teeth. So that with FTC, they're looking basically for bad actors. And one of the things that you can kind of do to insulate yourself, I'm not going to say it's going to protect you by any means, but it can insulate you and kind of prevent them from going after you, is if you have the right terms of service on your website, like policies, procedures, terms of service, privacy policies, income disclosures. If you're in business that people are going to make money using your product, you should have those. If you use testimonials at all in your business, you need a testimonial disclosure on your website. So these are some basic things. I use a company called FTC Guardian for that. I pay them, they make the widgets, I put their widgets, and they're a legal firm. So they've got the legal firm behind them. They put them on your site. And I'm not going to say that's going to prevent you from getting into trouble, but it's going to be a first line of defense. Like if the FTC thinks you're doing wrong and they look at your website and you don't have anything saying your terms of service, that's going to be a trigger that they might just shoot the gun at.
I got a plug and play templates from one legal firm, but I don't know whether it is complete because they gave me plug and play basically templates. So
Yeah.
you just put your name
Yeah. So
and then basically they generate.
you might want to, run that by some sort of legal counsel to find out, am I doing what I should be doing? Am I good? That's
No,
why I
I
use
would like to
FTC.
consult with FTC Guardian because means basically, why would I go and ask somebody else when I know that you are giving me the means basically known source. So I want to go
Yeah.
to whom you refer. So I don't want to go and ask someone else.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like I said, I use FTC Guardian. They're Chip Cooper is actually the attorney in the firm. And they've got a whole marketing department, but Chip, I know Chip, known him for a long time. He's the actual attorney. And this is all he does. He just prevents people from getting in trouble, with their online marketing.
That is what I want, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So that website for FTC Guardian, there's a link on the bottom of my website on the internetdominators.com site. And there's a link there. It's an affiliate link. It gets you the best deal that you can get. And it's a lifetime thing, one-time pay. And you can use their stuff on all of your websites.
Okay, thank you.
So, and then the other thing was corporate structure, like how you structure your business. And again, this is not legal advice, but it's common sense not to spend a bunch of money you don't have on a business that's not making money yet. So when you start off, you're a sole proprietor. There comes a point in time where you might want some insulation from that or some asset protection or something like that. That's when you move up into a corporate status, whether it be an LLC, a C Corp, an S Corp, all of that. And again, I can't really say what's right for you without knowing, a lot more about what you're doing. But just so you understand, an LLC is a limited liability company. It's just kind of it separates you from, asset protection, basically. A C Corp is the real commercial corp. A C Corp is like the highest level, and it's an entity. It is a legal entity on its own. So an LLC is kind of like you, it's kind of just a version of you. And same thing with an S Corp. An S Corp is like what's known as a pass-through corporation. It passes through to you, gives you a level of asset protection. But if you want a real corporation that's standalone, that's a C Corp. That is a company that can own assets, it can operate on its own. It's not attached to anyone physically. So that's what I know about the corporate structure. So you can kind of decide
So at
there.
what point you should form these structures? At what point?
When you're making enough money that it matters.
Okay.
Like I would say, unless you're making, at least $5,000 a month. If you're not making $5,000 a month in your business, then I wouldn't, and again, this is not legal advice, but personally, when I build businesses until they get up to that point, I'm not too worried about them.
You're not talking top line revenue, you're talking margin or net income
Yeah, I'm just talking about income coming through the bank.
on the bottom, not revenue at the top line revenue.
Top line, yeah.
Oh, so only $5,000 of top line revenue.
Yeah, if it's not doing that, it's not really a business. It's not really worth considering. It's a thought. So, but yeah, and it doesn't cost that much, to get a legal entity put in place. For the most part, you can do it yourself. You can go to the state websites and sign up for the stuff, and it's there's not a big cost associated with it. But if you're in California, you have a minimum commitment of an $800 fee per year. When you do your taxes for that entity, you have to file that, and there's a minimum $800 fee for California. So like I said, if you're not doing, you know, at least $5,000 a month, I wouldn't even worry about it. I wouldn't
Yeah,
consider.
but your site should be protected whether you are making 5K or not. It should be protected anyway, because when you have a site, it should be protected anyway, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, you could, it just depends on how you look at it. It's risk versus, you know, it's your risk tolerance. For me, you know, I have a risk tolerance of what I considered to be 5,000 a month. That's where I consider, you know, risk tolerance. Okay, we need to protect that. But for me at this point, anything I do, nothing I do is owned by myself anymore. It's all under a C corp, and then there's other stuff that rolls up underneath that. If it needs to be in a different corporate structure, it's all owned by the C corp. I don't own anything myself personally anymore. But, you know, I didn't
Thank you.
start off that way. I started off, you know, bootstrapping my way up to where I am.
Hey, can I throw in my 2 cents worth about the corporation?
Sure.
I have a really, really great accountant, and he always gives me the straight answers. Anyway, I keep bugging him about this all the time. Should I do this? And his response, and he comes from a long line of accountant families, his response to me was, financially, just from a financial point of view, it doesn't make any financial sense for me to do that until I'm grossing $250,000 a year. And and again, everyone's got an opinion, but I said, what's that based on? He says, well, a corporation will see tax advantages and things like that. He says, however, until you reach that income level, the cost of you filing a separate business return, which you'll incur, plus you have to keep minutes of a corporation. He says the extra work you're going to do and the cost it will incur you won't see the savings until you're up at about $250,000 is what he said. And but also that's a question of protection. You know, when I have that, I'm defended against this corporation that, you know, ran over your kid, not, you know, the corporation car, not me. And so there's benefits for that, but financially it doesn't make any sense. I won't see the gain until that. And then finally, you know, with the LLC and the DBA, the doing business as, all he does, it doesn't cost me anything extra in taxes. It's just a Schedule C. It's a 1-page thing he fills out. It adds maybe $25 to my preparation bill. And but again, at the same time, the DBA and that LLC does not offer me any direct tax advantages. It doesn't offer me any liability protection. But he did say you just get liability. If you feel liable, get liability insurance for your business. It's much cheaper if that's what you're interested in, instead of just forming a corporation. And also, as John pointed out, it's $800 a year to do that. So anyway, that's what I know. But as always, John's not a legal expert or financial, you know, in that area. Talk to your accountant, and that's my 2 cents. Thanks.
Yeah, it's interesting
know,
you said that $250,000, because that's about the exact framework when I started my C corp like 25 years ago.
By the way, I would echo everything that Chris just said. I was trying to avoid going to C corp for all of those reasons, and LLC with a liability umbrella insurance was all that I ever wanted or needed. But when you go down the venture capital fundraising path, they all want you to be a Delaware C corp because it's going to make it a lot easier but you are subject to double taxation as a C corp, and that's why, you know, I was trying to avoid it.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go to Minnie. Then we'll wrap her up for today. You're muted out there, Manny. We're not hearing.
I forgot to unmute myself.
There we go.
Good afternoon. Thank you. I asked this yesterday to Brady. I was in a rush because I was in a doctor's appointment. Get my physical yearly checkup, so everything's looking good. I'm still almost finished, but not there yet. But I wanted to clarify because I wanted to make an offer, which I did, but then I was kind of confused how I'm gonna offer this. Shall I have a separate offer for AI site leads other than the AI search leads? Because right now I'm focusing on AI search leads. Shall I offer that also for AI site leads? Different pricing.
Oh, yes, yes. The pricing
Okay.
should absolutely be
Yeah,
different.
yeah. So that means instead of just one, and I think I'm just gonna have to show that to you in a private setting. I'll set up an appointment, which I haven't taken advantage of that yet.
Okay.
So and I'm still working on my onboarding plan instructions to the client. I had a meeting today with the client. As you well know, I create websites and rank them.
Mhm.
So I had a meeting with them, and they just happened to talk about Angie's list, and I saw it on their computer. I said, "Oh, by the way, this is what I have." But then they asked me a question. Well, how do you get your leads? So that's where I stumbled, and I'm trying to remember.
Okay.
I think I have to like recite or
All you
memorize. Go
all you
ahead.
have to say is we monitor secondary search across the internet. That's
Say
basically,
that again. We monitor
yeah,
secondary.
we monitor secondary search boxes across the internet. When a lead types in a keyword that you're interested in, we follow them around to make sure they're an actual prospect. When they consume 2 pieces of relevant content, that's what triggers us to say this is a true in-market lead. And then we go to a big data, purchase their contact information, and send that to you in real time.
Now, have you had that specifically verbatim that you've written on your content in some place?
And Brady said that was 30 seconds, what I just gave you. And
Okay.
it's very,
You-
that's
Do
it.
you have that written someplace, exactly what you just said?
We have it recorded right now, right here, right now.
Okay, well,
1 minute and 52 seconds.
okay,
in,
well, I'm gonna use that because
or-
that's one of the things that I've
or,
been
1 hour,
asked.
52 minutes into this conversation is where
Okay.
that will be
This
found.
will
later.
help me. So I'm gonna
Manny, it's on the resources tab on the support
right.
site.
Yeah, I just been focusing on a number of different things. But anyway, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that again myself.
Yeah.
And
Brady, get the recording from Roy that I did with him this morning. And it was a really good presentation. We can clip out that section
that
where
would be good.
yeah, it's
That
really
would be good if you can put that on the resource.
yeah.
I will play this again and write it down. But anyway, I told them, look, the first 5 leads is free, and because I'm paying for it, I didn't tell them how much, but they're paying $100, almost $102 per lead. And I told them
Yeah.
I used to manage a roofing company because I did their website, and the guy can speak English because he's from Guatemala, and so I end up buying leads for him, and that's how I learned about more about the leads. This is some years back, probably about 7 years ago. And since I helped him, did the LLC, did everything, and now he's making over $500,000 business. Before he was 0. And the reason for that is because he did my website. He's one of my student. Excuse me, he did my roofing. And he asked me after the roofing, can you help me in broken English? Can you help me start my business and help me? And of course, I have to ask my wife because that takes a lot of time. So, and I didn't mind helping, so I did. And so we were buying home advisor leads and Angie's List. And son of a gun, they will send out to anywhere from between 100 to 500 businesses is shared leads, and we never get it.
Yeah.
They send it to us, but we don't get the bid because they send it to, let's just say, even 100 lead to 100 company.
Yeah.
Whoever gets it first, and that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So
very common in the lead business. That's what makes us very distinct is these leads, when you buy a lead from us, it's your lead. We're not selling it to anyone else.
I think the other question I have, and I think you guys kind of somewhat answering it a little bit, is to I'm kind of struggling with whether should go SendGrid or go high level. So
I
what would you
would go with you need some sort of a CRM. SendGrid
Right,
is not
exactly.
really SendGrid is not really a CRM. SendGrid
Okay,
is good to do an autoresponder, a first time thing if you don't have something else.
okay.
Personally, I would figure out what your CRM is going to be and pipe them right into that right out of the gate.
Right now, I don't have any other than what originally what you guys suggested through Google spreadsheet.
Okay, then
That's what we're using right now. I don't have anything fancy or anything like that. It's just
Okay, so I would
for
recommend
my-
that you look into something like Kartra or Go High Level or whatever suits your fancy as far as a CRM, and
Okay,
get to know that, because you have a lot of clients that you could upsell into having that CRM. So learn one of them, get really familiar with it, and then use that in your stable of products as you're rolling out recommendations to all of your customers.
are you currently using? I know you're using Kartra.
Yeah,
I
use
think my
Kartra.
biggest question is what's the difference between Kartra and Go High Level? Are you using Go High Level too?
I am not. I
Okay.
never got into Go High Level. Every time I look at it, it just makes me want to throw up.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna go with what you're saying, Kartra, because I also want to set this up with not just for clients that's knocking the door, but also distributor. That's what I'm looking for. You and I briefly talk about this.
But that said, like the fact that I want to throw up when I look at it, if you talk to somebody that is a Go High Level person, they'll say, I look at Kartra and I want to throw up. I'm like, hey, that's cool.
Listen, okay.
It's like it's like whatever works for you is great. As long as it works for you, I got no problem whatsoever with it.
I'll take a look at it, because I know that's an extra expense for me, but I do have a group funnel, group system.
Okay.
I'm grandfathered in that. I don't have to spend extra money.
Okay.
So
So
I'm gonna look at both of them.
here's what I'll tell you about Groove Funnel.
Okay.
Groove, the reason that you got a lifetime version of Groove Funnel
Mhm.
is because they sold lifetime versions, never expecting to support it.
I see.
It never got completed, nor will it probably ever get completed. They're already on to selling something different, probably.
Hmm.
The group of people behind that, that's what they do. They build and dump, build and dump, build and dump. And I knew that right from the get-go. It happened to be the same team that built Kartra.
Right. With
Not that
Michael
they
saying,
Yeah, it's not that they don't know how to build good stuff, but here's the thing. The guy that was actually the developer behind building all those systems, like first he built Kajabi, then he built Kartra, then he built Groove, and halfway through Groove, he passed away.
oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's that it was very unfortunate. But
No, but Kartra and Kajabi, they are very easy. Groove is very complicated.
yeah, it's but anyway,
Well, I will take a look at those. And
that
then
was
I will
Andy.
follow up with some things with you one-on-one or put a support system here.
Okay, yeah, Andy Jenkins was the mastermind behind all those systems.
Wow.
He passed away here a few years ago.
So it wasn't Mike Fulsane, right?
No, Mike was the promoter,
But
he's
big
not
difference.
he's not
Big
the
difference.
designer or the developer. He's the promoter.
Okay. Okay, I think that's all I have, and I'm gonna look at the what Brady was saying again too was on the source, but I'd like to look at the replay. And do you have that? You said you have that interview or this this presentation earlier this morning. Do you have that?
Yeah, we'll get that from Roy. Roy's not on here. He popped off a little while ago, but
Okay.
we'll have Brady reach out to him and get
His
that.
name is Roy. Okay.
Yeah, Roy Dickin.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I gotta. Everybody's sick in my studio, so I'm by myself today. I'm playing secretary and teacher, so
All right,
I'm gonna work on this stuff tonight. Thank you.
Well, cool, absolutely.
Have a blessed day.
All right, you too.
Thanks.
Everybody, thank you guys all for coming on and being part of our madness here.
Thanks,
Hey,
John.
and happy
John, good
birthday.
stuff.
All right,
John, happy birthday.
we'll see you guys.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
It's coming
John.
up.
Thanks.
The big 6-0 coming up here Saturday. or
Yeah,
Sunday.
that's a milestone, really milestone. Enjoy.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk to you guys soon. Next time you see me, I'll be another year older and hopefully wiser.
Happy birthday, man.
Talk to you soon, man. Take care.